Sup guys, it's me Charlie, and today in this video I'll be talking about the upcoming Spotlight Week, which features Emperor Hulkling, Nimrod, and Cannonball. Let's begin with Emperor Hulkling. At the start of the game, copy the text of a random 6-cost card. Now, a lot of people are saying that this seems like a pretty bad card. Now, let me begin with saying that first off, in terms of the things that Emperor Hulkling can copy, I've actually done a video. I've done a card-by-card analysis, I believe a few months back. Link is in the description, do check it out. But basically, there's 1/3 chance that Emperor Hulkling copies something crazy. For instance, a 6/11 lead, he becomes a 6/11 leader, 6/11 Doctor Doom, 6/11 Anim Zola, 6/11 Blob. Right? So these are examples of crazy copies. He also has about a 1/3 chance of copying something that is not so consequential, alright, and a 1/3 chance of copying something really bad. For example, a 6/11 Destroyer, 6/11 Agatha, or even copying things like becoming a 6/11 Magneto because, well, you have 1 power lesser. So in terms of the things that Emperor Hulkling can copy, he isn't that bad if you were to ask me. He isn't bad to roll the dice because, well, you only have a 33% downside and you have a 33% crazy upside, and 33% of the time, yeah, you're fine. You just get a card that is basically a 6/11 with maybe a little bit of upside. That's about it. Now, the reason why a lot of people are saying that Emperor Hulkling is bad is because people are looking at building around Emperor Hulkling, which, no, there's no way you can build around Emperor Hulkling. But that doesn't make Emperor Hulkling a bad card. Look at Copycat. You can't build around Copycat, but Copycat is a solid card. Emperor Hulkling should be, when you pick up Emperor Hulkling, you should be thinking along the lines of 2 things. First of all, a Hail Mary option and a secondary assistant. Now let's talk about the Hail Mary option first. Iron Lad. Think about Iron Lad in a tribunal deck, in a traditional tribunal deck. Well, Iron Lad doesn't actually contribute much if you have a combo, but if you don't, Iron Lad could be the card that fish out your combo. Emperor Hulkling works along the same kind of lines. Well, if your strategy is going perfectly fine, just go with your strategy. But if somehow your strategy isn't enough to defeat the opponent, Emperor Hulkling may offer you that crazy chance to beat it. Now, if you have a 6/11 Doctor Doom, if you have a 6/11 leader and you still can't win, well, I don't think there's anything else that can save you. Alright? So basically, that's the kind of role that Emperor Hulkling can serve. Secondary assistance. What do I mean by that? Think along the lines of a toxic deck, alright, that runs Hood, Sentry, Annie. Now, the first option is still basically to play Annie because you want to flip over the Hood, you want to flip over the Void to clog their lanes. But in the event whereby you don't draw Annie, you'll opt for Cersei. Well, basically Cersei is the second option. And that's what Emperor Hulkling can be, the second option behind the 6-cost card that you actually put into your deck. If your core strategy is going well, go ahead. Alright, continue with it. Play your Annie. But if it's not going well, play your Cersei, which is your Emperor Hulkling. So long story short, in a nutshell, if you're looking at building around Emperor Hulkling, you're expecting to build around this new card, it can't be done. Then Emperor Hulkling will look like a crappy card. But if you're picking up Emperor Hulkling in terms of boosting your deck, adding some surprise factor, alright, adding a card that can perform a Hail Mary kind of save, Emperor Hulkling can have a lot of potential. In fact, I think Emperor Hulkling will be a good card for those who love Conquest because basically there's no way your opponents can plan for Emperor Hulkling. And if the first time after you play Emperor Hulkling, your opponents may be, totally afraid because they'll be thinking, oh shit, what did this guy's Emperor Hulkling copy this time round? Stuff like that. That makes Emperor Hulkling a very interesting card if you were to ask me. Now let's move on to the next card, which is Nimrod. Nimrod, well, basically, if you were to ask me, alright, is okay. Basically, a lot of people are saying that Nimrod is no good, alright, because he's a Series 4 card, it's not worth it. First of all, let me clarify something. I believe Nimrod is one of the best Series 4 cards. A lot of people be saying, nah, that's crazy. We have Ravona, we have many other Series 4 cards, even deck cards like MMM. Now here's the reason why I believe Nimrod is a very very severely underrated card. The Nimrod combo is still one of the most difficult combos to play against, because you basically have no idea how much power are they going to output. Now a lot of people are saying, wait, it's pretty easy to predict, to basically just calculate the Zola copies. No, because people have been playing Nimrod using Zola, and I think that's the worst way to play Nimrod. The best way is actually to play Venom plus Carnage on Deathlock. Because with this way, there's a lot of different power permutations, and your opponents can have no way to predict which lane you're going to play the Venom, which lane are you going to play the Deathlock, are you going to play the Deathlock first, or are you going to play the Venom, alright, onto the Nimrod. And that makes that combo crazy good. I don't know why, but Nimrod has fallen off the meta completely. I don't see many people playing Nimrod, and I really feel that it's a shame, because the Nimrod combo is still one of the craziest combo in terms of trying to decide how to play against it. Alright, the only way you can play against it is if you have armor and you have Cosmo. Alright, otherwise any other way it's really crazy, it's really very very difficult. And you can't Shang-Chi either, because well, it just splits up even more. The only way to effectively deal with Nimrod is with Shadow King. Alright, and we do know how much of a mana share Shadow King has. So long story short, Nimrod is... I mean, nobody likes picking up a Series 4 card with their Spotlight keys. But Nimrod is really a good card. It's really a very very strong card. Okay, so I don't think you should be too upset if you do not have Nimrod and you pick him up along the way. Now we move on to the third and final card, which is Cannonball. I think Cannonball is suffering from what I think is, people are just throwing him away because his best deck is no longer performing that well. Now I'm saying that it's not performing that well. I'm not saying that it's not performing well. And here's the thing. Cannonball decks are still good. Okay? Obviously they used to be insanely good with Professor X, but now they are just good, and that's why a lot of people don't want to play with them anymore, because they feel that it's not as good, it's not as godlike as before. Let me try something else. And that's very natural. That's a very natural feeling. Okay, but here's what happened. Take a look at Apocalypse discard decks. Apocalypse discard deck back when Chavez was still, a 6 cost. People love it. In fact, it was rated as one of the best decks in Marvel Snap. Okay, and after the Chavez nerf, people just stopped playing with it. And then people realized that, hey, look, it's actually not too bad. But still people refuse to play with it because, well, it used to be so much better. So why do I want to settle for an inferior version of it? And that's exactly what has happened to Cannonball. Nobody wants to play with Cannonball anymore because they feel that compared to the previous version, it's not as good. So let me venture with something new. I do not have Cannonball. I'm actually looking forward to getting Cannonball and playing the Cannonball Clocks deck after I get White Widow as well. Because I still do see a lot of potential in the deck. Whenever I face a Clock deck, I'm afraid that Cannonball pops up and win that lane just by busting my highest power card there. So I don't think Cannonball is a bad card. In fact, Cannonball alone, I believe, is still worth 4 keys. Alright, so if we were to take a look at this Spotlight week, you have a very strong Series 4 card. In fact, one of the most underrated Series 4 cards in my opinion. You have Cannonball, still a very very strong card, waiting for some other pieces to come into play and dominate the meta once again, I'm very very sure. You have a very interesting and a card that has wide utility as long as you are willing to give him a chance in Emperor Hulkling. If you were to ask me, this week is a very very good week for you to draw, for you to spend your keys. Unless you have Nimrod and Cannonball already, then well, just make your decision on whether you have enough resources to pick up something like Emperor Hulkling. Because Emperor Hulkling is probably a card that makes your deck, which makes your entire collection a lot more interesting, but not necessarily staple. Okay, there is a lot of potential. You can raise your ceiling, but not having Emperor Hulkling will not cripple your floor in terms of your entire collection outlook, the decks that you can build, the things that you can do. But if you do not have Cannonball, I do think that you should definitely open for this week. If you do not have Cannonball and Nimrod, I think you should definitely open for this week. That's my thought on the upcoming Spotlight week. Happy snapping.